Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Eva and I am a millennial who is absolutely obsessed with makeup. Today we have a very exciting video because RMS has released their ReDimensin Hydra Bronzers. Now, I am dressed casual right now in a robe, makeup free, because I'm going to be getting ready for a wedding after this, and did it make sense for me to do like a full face of makeup and then completely redo it? And also, I thought it might be helpful if I apply the bronzers on bare skin so you can see what the shades look like naturally on the skin. I'll also be able to speak to how these wear over makeup because I've been testing these for I want to say a couple of weeks now. The formula, by the way, is great. So in today's video, we are going to cover all 4 shades. I ended up purchasing all 4 shades, even though the darker ones are obviously not going to work for me, but I really wanted to be able to do comparisons for you guys. So we're going to do cheek swatches, comparing the different shades. We're going to do arm swatches, and then I also received a couple of requests for some comparisons to their blushes. And then I'm also going to pull some popular powder bronzers that I have in my collection and include some comparisons there as well. I also want to mention that I do have a code with RMS Beauty. If you use the code, I have it on the screen, Dear Eva Hansen 20, you will save 20% off your purchase. Another way to save is there is a link I will have down below where if you decide to shop through that specific link and you're a first-time RMS customer, you will save $20 off your purchase of $60 or more. So you can decide and do the math which discount is the better one for you. Okay, before we move into it, would love for you to subscribe, like this video, and then follow me on Instagram. I do a lot of makeup content on Instagram, although lately it's kind of been derailed with a lot of digesting the new Taylor Swift album in my Instagram stories. So a lot of pop culture over there and then makeup as well, and would love if you joined me for that ride as well. We're going to start off by going over some of the claims of this formula. I'm going to show you the different shades as well. If you're somehow not familiar with the RMS blushes, RMS launched amazing blushes maybe a little over a year ago now that are in the same format. They're a powder. They are also called the ReDimensin blushes. I have an in-depth video trying ton of them on my face, I think all of them, so I will have that linked up above if you're interested. But let's talk specifically about the bronzers. So they launched 4 different shades. The one I have in my hands right now is the shade Malibu Muse. And let's talk about the claims. So I have the RMS website pulled up to the right of me. So the claims are, this is a talc-free longwear gel to powder bronzer in a refillable mirrored compact, available in 4 expertly created shades. So yes, also to mention, they do have a refillable component as well. I'm not going to pop it out right now because I don't want it to go flying, but if you do fall in love with this bronzer and you use it up and you want to replace it, you can just buy an insert to replace it instead of having to purchase the entire new bronzer. So these retail for $35, but again, you can save 20% off with Dear Eva Hansen 20. And then the refills are $28. Now the claims. So what it does, it says, glides on effortlessly, infusing skin with multi-dimensional life as the bouncy, light as air gel blends and builds golden sun-kissed color. Now, the claims on what makes it special. Bronze, Enhance, and Glow. The ultimate 2-in-1 complexion enhancer combines the nourishing texture of a cream and the light reflective finish of a luminous powder to enhance the cheeks and face with a golden glow. Featuring a sugar-derived wet powder technology, provides a bouncy application of a gel with a multifaceted 3D finish. Blah, 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 organic jojoba oils, nourish and smooth, etc. So the claims are that it is a gel to powder blush that will give you a beautiful natural glow. Now, right off the bat, I have to tell you that I love these bronzers. I find that I'm pretty picky with bronzers. I think it's because I am so fair-skinned. It can really be hit or miss for me with the shades. But not only do I love the shade range, which we'll get to in a little bit, the formula also is so natural looking on the face. A lot of times it's really easy for me to over apply bronzer because again, I'm so fair skinned, I have to be careful. But with these bronzers, I didn't have to be careful. I was able to just easily apply them, get a beautiful, natural, sun-kissed glow. Let's go through the 4 shades before we try them on the face. So I'm going to start with lightest to darkest. The lightest shade is what I have right here, which is the shade Malibu Muse. Now, this is described as a golden hour glow with warm amber undertones, and this is recommended for people with light to medium skin tones. I also have some beautiful like up close shots I was able to do with these on like the one day that it was sunny in Seattle before it basically became dreary again. So I'll have those inserted on the screen throughout. Okay, so this is Malibu Muse. The next shade in the lineup is Boardwalk Betty, and this one is more of like a gray undertone, I would say, when you're comparing it to Malibu Muse. And this shade is described as a sweet kiss of sun with neutral nude undertones for fair skin tones. So this one is going to be less golden. I'm going to do a finger swatch here. So you can see on this finger right here, we have Malibu Muse, which is actually, it is rosier when you're comparing the two of them. And then Boardwalk Betty here is a true neutral tan. Something I really love about this formula is that it gives such a beautiful, natural, like luminosity without micro glitters. You'll be able to see when I do the up close arm swatches, they're not a matte bronzer by any means. They are a glowy bronzer, or rather an luminous bronzer. So you're not gonna get micro glitters. You're not gonna get something on your face that is like, oh, is this a highlighter? Is this a bronzer? No, it's just a really beautiful, glowy, natural looking finish. Next in the lineup, we have the shade Tan Lines. And Tan Lines is described as an endless summer tan with neutral undertones for medium skin tones. This is essentially so Tan Lines is essentially the darker version of Beachwalk Betty. And sorry, I think I was saying Boardwalk Betty earlier. It's Beachwalk Betty, because these are the 2 neutral ones. We'll do a quick little finger swatch. Again, very, very neutral. We'll do arm swatches at the end so you can see them all compared to one another. Now, the last one in the lineup, which is one that I am excited to wear as an eyeshadow for myself, is, what's this one called? Bikini Beach. And this one is described as a deep bronze with a slight terracotta base for medium to deep skin tones. So this is kind of the sister to Malibu Muse because it has more of those like rosy undertones, or at least that's what they claim in the description. And looking at them up close, I can see that. These definitely have like a red undertone as opposed to the other 2 shades, which were true neutral bronzers. Now let's do the finger swatch. And again, I'm very excited to wear this as an eyeshadow because this will be way too dark for my pale skin. Go ahead and insert some arm swatches here so you can see what these look like lined up against one another. And then we will move into cheek swatches. Okay, so here we have the 4 RMS bronzers. Excuse all the bite and scratch marks from my naughty kitten. So going from the wrist down, starting off, we have Beachwalk Betty, Malibu Muse, and then we move into Tan Lines, and then Bikini Beach. And you can see they just have like a beautiful natural looking sheen to them. I think it would probably be the most helpful to you as a viewer if I do like lightest to darkest. So I'll compare the 2 lightest shades on my cheeks and then the 2 darkest shades on my cheeks, because you're not going to be debating really between the lightest shade and the darkest shade. You're going to be debating between the 2 lightest shades and then the 2 darkest shades. So let's go ahead and start with Beachwalk Betty, which is the more neutral of the bronzers. And this is the one I've been wearing a lot and it's so stinking beautiful. It's so, so, so gorgeous. And for this formula, In my opinion, you can really go in with a denser brush or a lighter brush. I think there's enough flexibility. I have been going in with this limited edition Wayne Goss brush because I love it, but I'm gonna actually go ahead and use the RMS 60B brush. This is one they market as kind of just being like a general cheek brush, so it can be used for bronzer, blush, powder, etc. I have a microfiber cloth on my lap. I'm going to link to these on Amazon down below because I really love using that to quickly clean my brushes between different products and kind of between makeup sessions when I'm not doing the full wash of my brushes. Okay, brush has been cleaned. Now we are going to go in to Beachwalk Betty. Okay, so we picked it up. Oh my God, it's so pretty. And I'm actually really glad that I'm wearing bare skin with this with just a little moisturizer because I think it's, I don't know, like really just shows how flattering and blurring this is even on bare skin. I do find like in the summer sometimes I will just do like a tinted SPF and then bronzer. So this isn't too far off from how I like to wear my makeup in the summer on more casual days. Okay, so we applied Beachwalk Betty on this half of the face. I'm also going to go in on my forehead just to build it up a little bit. And it's very, very natural looking. I'm looking in the viewfinder over here and it is coming up, so I know you can see the color. I'll do a little bit better job of blending it out afterwards, but want you to take a moment to take a look. And again, this is the shade Beachwalk Betty. And please leave feedback on my lighting situation. You guys gave me some helpful feedback previously. Previously, the feedback was that like the left side of my face was a lot darker. So I tried to move my lighting, but if you guys are still finding that my lighting situation is not up to par and it's kind of driving you nuts, let me know in the comments below. I don't know if I'm just unnecessarily obsessing about it or if it is actually like hindering your ability to get a read on products, because if that's the case, then I'm just wasting your time and I will need to figure out a better lighting solution. But let me tell you, figuring out lighting is really freaking hard. Like honestly, that and editing are the two most time consuming and like stressful aspects of having a YouTube channel, in my opinion. Okay, enough blabbing. Now we're gonna go in to Malibu Muse. This is the one that has a rosier undertone, and this is the one that is for fair to light skin tones. I cleaned my brush off, and we are dipping in. For me, this shade, I kind of feel like could also be standalone as more of like a bronzer because it does have those rosier tones. It's giving a little bit of blush meets bronzer vibes, in my opinion. Now we're going to do just a little on the forehead. So here we have Malibu Muse. I'm going to grab my handheld mirror and just take a little bit of a closer look to see if I have anything else I want to mention. Okay, I'm not really going to bother blending these out too much because we're going to take them off in a couple minutes to apply the other two shades. Looking in my handheld, Beachwalk Betty is definitely my shade. The more neutral shade is definitely for me. I'm finding that Malibu Muse is way too rosy toned on me to the point where it's looking a little orange on my skin. I'll still wear it, but I will be wearing it as more of a blush as opposed to a bronzer. It's pulling too red based on my current skin tone. Now, I do like to fake tan in the summer, and so when I do get more warm tone, I think that one could work, but for like everyday use, for me, definitely Beachwalk Betty is the winner because Malibu Muse is pulling too red. So if you have similar undertone to me, which I have a true, in my opinion, neutral undertone, you are gonna want to go with Beachwalk Betty. And if you are warmer toned, but still fair or like more olive tone skin, you're going to want to go with Malibu Muse. I am going to go ahead and remove these two shades, and then we're going to get into the two darker shades. Okay, so now we're going to go in with the two darker shades. Again, I thought it could maybe be helpful to try on all four. I mean, regardless, I love, love, love wearing bronzers on my eyes. So for me, these are going to be just giant eyeshadows. So here we have tan lines on our left, or on my left, and then on this side we have Bikini Beach, which is more of the rosier tone of the two. So we have a clean brush again, and we are going to go in with tan lines on the right side of my face. You know what? Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think this one looks that bad on me. I mean, it's a little dark. I'm looking in my mirror down here. It's a little dark. But I actually think in the summer months when I do fake tan a little bit, or like, I don't know, I step outside a little bit when it gets nicer in Seattle, that this could actually be one that I wear. I think just having it be that neutral undertone really makes it more wearable for me, even though it is, you know, a little too dark, but it's nothing crazy. I'm actually pretty surprised. So again, this is the shade Tan Lines. Brush has been cleaned. Now we're gonna go in with Bikini Beach on this side. And this one's gonna look, I just know, ridiculous because not only does it have more of the terracotta undertone, but this one's quite a bit darker. Okay, this actually doesn't look that bad as a blush. All over, like the way I'm applying it now, no way, but I could really see myself wearing this as a blush. Apply a little to the forehead. This brush is actually really nice. I should also mention that because sometimes they do have little kits on the RMS site where you can get like a bronzer and a blush with this brush. So if you're in the market for a new one, this one's pretty nice, and it is really useful and universal. Okay, wait. I actually kind of love the way this one looks. Okay, so this is the shade Bikini Beach. I'm gonna check this out in my handheld mirror because the way it's looking in my viewfinder, I'm not hating it. Okay, both of these actually don't look that bad on me. I mean, they're not going to be, of course, my first choice of which shades to use, but when I do get a little tanner, I do see myself potentially wearing these as more of blushes, which I was not expecting. So we have swatched all 4 shades on my face. Now I'm going to move into comparisons. I got a couple of requests via YouTube for some comparisons, and then I'm just going to pull popular bronzers that I have in my collection that are in the powder formula. This, because it is more of a glowy bronzer, I'm going to try to pick some glowy bronzers, but then I'm also going to include just like your standard really popular ones. Okay, I grabbed a bunch of comparisons from my drawers, put them in a Sephora bag. The lovely person who asked me to compare Crystal Slipper, for some reason I can't find my RMS blushes at this very moment, but what I will do is when I find them tomorrow, I will go ahead and insert a clip here of comparisons because I really want to get those ones in there for you, so they won't be in this wider comparison, but I assure you before this video goes live, I will have those inserted. Okay, here we have the comparisons of the blush from RMS called Crystal Slipper to all of the bronzers. This is RMS Crystal Slipper, and then we have Beachwalk Betty. We have Malibu Muse. We have Tan Lines. And then here we have Bikini Beach. I grabbed a mix of bronzers that are like popular, but then also I tried to grab ones that have more of like a sheen glowy finish. I tend to wear, I realized when I was going through my bronzers, like a lot of matte bronzers, because I feel like that's what's really on the market. So I do have a mixture. So some of the things we're going to be comparing is we're going to be comparing the Glowish by Huda Beauty Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder in the shade Light, which this bronzer is fantastic. And my understanding is Huda Beauty is closing down the Glowish line. So these might be on sale. So if they are, by the way, I recommend picking those up. We are also going to compare the Haus bronzer in the shade Light Level 2. This one isn't glowy, but it's a popular bronzer. This one is glowy, and this is the Hoola Glow Benefit Bronzer. So this is their Hoola bronzer, but in the Glow formula. I have one of the jumbo ones that they had released during the holiday season. For the heck of it, I thought we would also compare the YSL All Hours Hyper Bronzer. Even though this is a totally different bronzer formula, it is truly powder. It doesn't have that like gel to powder formula, and the shade is different. But I know quite a few of you commented when I did review this product saying that you picked it up, so I thought it would be helpful to include. And then we're going to include the Kosas bronzer in Light, because this is a bronzer with a natural glowy finish that kind of reminds me of the RMS ones. We're also going to do this Clinique Solar Pop bronzer, which is a really pretty, like more rosy-ish, slightly rosy tone. I would say it's like, yeah, neutral leaning rosy tone bronzer from Clinique that is so underrated. And then lastly, I thought I would do this interesting bronzer illuminating powder from Bobbi Brown. It's supposed to be, like a lot of makeup artists say, the best bronzer for super fair skin. And it is in the shade Antigua, which is the shade 2. It looks like a blush, but it is supposed to be worn as a bronzer. So I know a lot of fair-skinned people may already own this, so I thought this could be helpful. So let's go ahead and get into the arm comparison swatches of all of these compared to the RMS blushes. Okay, we have an arm full of vastly different comparisons. I ran out of space, so I ended up doing some of them at the beginning of my wrist. So, okay, here we have the YSL bronzer. Here we have Antigua by Bobbi Brown. Here we have Beachwalk Betty by RMS. Then we have Malibu Muse by RMS. Tan Lines from RMS. Bikini Beach from RMS. And then we move in to Hoola Glow from Benefit Cosmetics. Haus Labs bronzer in the shade 2. Clinique Solar Pop bronzer, the Glowish bronzer, and then last we move into the Kosas bronzer. I'm looking at the swatches on my arm up close as well to kind of provide additional commentary. I don't know, you guys. I don't really feel like any of the shades that I have from RMS match any of my other powder bronzer shades. Like, I'm looking at my arm and I don't really see any dupes, especially when it comes to the finish. Like, there are some where I'm like, okay, the tone of one of the Haus Labs ones is a similar tone to the RMS ones, but for more of my glowy bronzers, which I really only swatched 3 glowy ones, I don't think they're that similar. I would say formula-wise, the closest to the RMS is the Hoola Glow bronzer, because of the finish. Like, the finish looks the same, but the formula is so different because it doesn't have that gel to powder formula. So if you own any of the bronzers that I just swatched, I give you permission to buy the RMS ones because I don't think they're similar in tone and they're not similar in formula. If you have other bronzers in your collection that I didn't swatch, there's a very good chance I own them because I basically have like a giant makeup inventory. So let me know in the comments below if there's something else you want me to swatch, and then I will go ahead and I will swatch it on Instagram so you can go and take a look at the swatches. Now let's bring it home for my final thoughts. I started off with this video by telling you that I love this formula and I feel the same way. These are so beautiful, They're so blendable. They just melt into the skin. I mean, you could even see for those shades that were too dark for me, the ones that I'm wearing now, they don't look that bad. And I think that's a testament to the way these were formulated. They were formulated in such a way that they are buildable. They also really melt seamlessly into the skin. So those two factors make them super flattering. They're also very long wearing. Didn't have any problem with longevity when I have worn these on full days. They last the full day, no problem. Wore beautifully over fully prepped skincare and makeup. There was no skipping, nothing. So these are highly recommended. I mean, I've only been playing around with these for a week or two, but these are definitely like top 3 bronzer for me. These are so, so beautiful, and I really love the formula. If you love the blush formula, you will love the bronzer formula. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this video was helpful. Again, let me know in the comments below if you want me to do any other comparisons. If you do decide to pick these up, I would love if you consider using that link that will give you the $20 off $60, or using the code DearEvaHanson20 to get 20% off your entire purchase. If you, again, want me to do any other comparisons, let me know in the comments below and I will post those on Instagram. Thanks, and I hope to see you in my next video.